We'll go for take two. All right, welcome back, one and all, 17 minutes after the hour. It's Tuesday morning already. Oh, my goodness. And don't forget, guys, it is Medicare open enrollment period, and what that means, of course, is, well, you got to call Debbie at I Will Advisors. If you are on Medicare, this is the only time of year that you can make changes to your existing Medicare plan. Call Debbie. Again, no matter where you are in the state of Florida, Debbie from I Will Advisors can help you. And she'll do a check and make sure your doctors and specialists and prescriptions are all covered next year. She'll make sure if you have a supplement, you're not paying too much. If you need a supplement, she'll make sure that you get the right supplement at the right price. Give her a call. Now, if you call early and you get a message, a little answering machine or something, leave a message and they will call you back. The number is 753-8080, 954-753-8080. That's 954-753-8080 for Debbie at I Will Advisors. All right, so let's get into this with Byron Donalds. And by the way, those of you that watch on YouTube, I got the YouTube up and running. Apologize for that. Now, as I was saying in the first segment, Byron Donalds has got a lot going on. Whoever becomes the speaker, the first thing they got to deal with is stop what the establishment uniparty are trying to push real quick. They're trying to combine Israeli war aid to Ukraine aid. All right, now then they're being very sneaky about this, and they're also being very snooty about it, and they're trying to get this through during all of this confusion. And it's probably one of the things that they're going to try to get whoever the speaker is to agree to get the support to be the speaker. And I would really like someone to ask Byron Donalds about this. And I haven't heard anybody do that yet. I'd like to know if he's going to stop that and make them separate the two things. Now, I got a couple of clips of Byron Donalds. One is like a real, interview that he did sitting down. And the other one, he was out on the Capitol steps. I'm going to play the Capitol steps one first. This is Byron Donalds. And when he's talking here, Byron Donalds, he's making what he's calling his pitch to be the Speaker of the House.
Look, my pitch is very simple. This is going to be a process where it's member-driven, not speaker-driven. We need to get back to work, secure our border, fund our government responsibly, and hold this administration accountable. And last but not least, our members, we got to be focused on purpose and mission. That's it. I spoke to the president. I think the president is going to watch us through our process. I think he's going to be happy with who's going to be the next Speaker of the House. And I think, that's what's going to happen.
Do you want his endorsement, and what difference could that make?
Listen, I love the president. He has supported me. Of course, I've endorsed him. But right now, this is going to be a process of and by the members. And I think we're going to be done pretty quickly. Yes, sir.
Do you have enough experience to be Speaker? Is that concern some people?
Yeah, actually I do. That's because I spent 20 years in the business community. I actually was a member of our state legislature. I've chaired committees. I know the legislative process. I worked with our colleagues up here to get a lot of policies done. HR 1, HR 2, HR 5, Limit, Save, Grow. But last but not least, we have a lot of talent in our leadership team and in this body. It's not about one person. It's about all our members collectively. I'm going to go ahead and go in the room, guys. I'll see you later.
Okay, now that was on the Capitol steps yesterday. And if you listen to that, there's a lot of vague generalities, which kind of tells you that Byron Donalds is doing some wheeling and dealing right now to, get that speakership. And the one question, and there's only one question that I want him asked right now, that is, what will he do about this Ukraine funding that's going on? This Ukraine funding is not just incredibly out of control. It's got to be stopped, and it's got to be cut off. And at the very least, here early on, we've got to separate it from the funding for Israel. And my guess is that he's going to agree to keep the Ukraine funding connected to the Israeli funding. And, I usually don't follow things that are this tight in these congressional races and budget battles and everything else and speaker races. I typically don't get that deep inside these kind of things, okay? Because it's I know it's a lot of kind of like inside baseball and it's minutia and things like this. But in this instance, it's not. They are so desperate in the Uniparty to keep feeding the military-industrial complex and keeping this endless war going in our 51st state of Ukraine that it may be the thing that gets Byron Donalds into the speakership. So my question to you is this, okay? If Byron Donalds agreed to keep the Ukraine funding tied to the Israeli funding in a deal to become speaker, would you be okay with that? Would you give him a pass to make one, and it's a big one though, it's a big compromise. Would you give Byron Donalds a pass to make a major compromise like this to get someone that's not a part of the establishment in as the speaker? Because it looks to me that is what is going on. In fact, Lindsey Graham in Israel yesterday, over there with a bunch of Democrats, trying to connect the Israeli funding with the Ukraine funding, which is really a twisted thing for them to do, is so important to these snakes in the Uniparty. This is got them going like nobody's business, and you can see it. They're running around with their heads chopped off, trying to get the two fundings put together. Now, over the weekend, when it was first being talked about as a serious thing about Byron Donalds becoming speaker, I knew that he's going to have to make some kind of compromise to get the job. Okay, that's just how it works. They don't just give people anything in Washington, D.C. They're always going to have compromises. They're always going to make you cave into something. But at the time, I didn't think it would be that. I was not expecting it to be, the Ukraine funding. So my question is to you, and it's a simple question. If Byron Donalds agrees to that to become speaker, would you still support Byron Donalds? Would it be worth it to you for Byron Donalds to do that? That's a big deal. That is one of the biggest deals of all, quite honestly, if he were to do that, because being opposed to the war in Ukraine and cutting off Ukraine funding is at the top of the list of the MAGA movement right now. And that's a big compromise, and that's something we really got to think about. We really do, because it looks like it's about to happen. And in that talk he gave on the Capitol steps, he was very vague, wasn't he? He was very, very vague. Now, after the bottom of the hour break, I've got some clips from a sit-down interview that Byron Donalds gave, where he gives a lot more specific information about things, but he does not talk about the Ukraine funding. So that is a big one. So if Byron Donalds were to agree to keep funding the Ukraine war by tying it to the Israeli funding, would he still be MAGA, or would you have considered him betraying the MAGA movement, the conservative movement, and having become a member of the establishment uniparty at that point? These are serious questions, and I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. I'm still processing this because it's just happening right now as we're speaking, right? This is not something that might happen. This is a discussion they are having right now on this Ukraine funding is more important to these Congress people, it seems, than anything else. So if he has to agree with that to become speaker and work on other things, is it worth it, or would you drop your support for him? Our number's toll free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're calling from. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. The greatest rock and roll hits of the 60s and 70s coming up this morning. From the Palm Beach Patio Furniture Weather Center, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created, here's the oldies forecast.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about that? I know, sorry I had some technical issues at the top on YouTube, but hey, that happens sometimes, guys. Can't help it. That's how it works. Yeah, I mean, it seems, yeah, somebody said there's no path around it. Yeah, that would seem to be true. That would seem no path around it. I mean, you know, that I would agree. It seems there's no path around it. That's like the most important thing to these snakes. There's nothing more important to these snakes than that funding to Ukraine. It's a big one. I'm not happy about it, believe me. And I haven't made up my mind about my thoughts on it because it's just happening. You put everything together, and that's what's going on. You know, the reality is there's never going to be anyone that holds any of these offices other than Donald Trump, okay, that's not going to disappoint us. They're all going to disappoint us except Donald Trump. I mean, that's sadly the way that it is. I mean, I know you have to do, you know, to win these things, you have to do compromises. You know, there have to be compromises. But that's a big one. That really is a big one. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to go to the calls after the break. I'm just getting organized here because I had some technical issues there in the beginning. What about our southern border? There is no southern border right now. There currently is no U.S. southern border. I mean, that's a fact. None. Zero. No southern border. One of those days, guys.
Hormone replacement pellet therapy completely stops and reverses all the signs and symptoms of menopause. Loose wigs gone.
My whole morning has been off today. My whole morning has been one big technical snafu.
Therapy with Dr. Matez, and when I first meet him, they're like Joe Biden, and no one wants to be like him. And then I meet him again after they began hormone replacement pellet therapy, and they have their energy back, just like Trump. They're standing up tall, and they feel years younger. Now, it's always a free consultation with Dr. Matez when you tell him you heard about him on the radio. 561-320-8893. 561.
This commercial's break seemed a little long.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 46 years on the air.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. 33 minutes after the hour. My name is Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We're talking about Byron Donalds. Is Byron Donalds, because it looks like this is what they're trying to pitch to him. It looks like they're trying to get Byron Donalds to agree to combine Ukraine funding with Israeli funding. If he makes that deal to become Speaker, will you still support him? Will he still be MAGA? Or at that moment, has he become a member of the establishment uniparty swamp? 1-888-GO-KANE-1. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Bill from Sanford. How are you?
All right, Bill, what's up?
Well, I agree with you. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I would support Brian Donalds, and because he's one of the smartest guys I've ever seen. If they could do it on a declining basis to Ukraine and an increase into Israel for the amount of funding through a number of years, then I think it may work. I don't know.
Well, you know, here's the thing with everyone that holds office in Washington. As soon as they get a job, all they think about is the next election to keep it. And I saw yesterday in Israel, a reporter from Newsmax asked Lindsey Graham about Tlaib, and he had a meltdown. Lindsey Graham, like I couldn't believe. You would have thought that Tlaib was his wife. You know,
I've never seen that part of Lindsay before, right?
I've never.
Way out of character.
Oh yeah, I played this on my podcast last night, so you guys can check that out. But, and he was in Israel very specifically with Democrats to keep the funding with Ukraine and Israel together. This is like keeping Ukraine and Israeli funding together is as important for the Uniparty as the Iran deal is for Biden and Obama and John Kerry. It's that or nothing. So when you're in a position like Byron Donalds, they come to you. You either make a compromise and get the job, or you do not make a compromise and you don't get the job. So what should he do?
Well, maybe he can make a compromise. Like I said, keep cutting down the amount of money we send to Ukraine and increase the amount of money we send to Israel, because they're the ones that need it the most.
I don't know. It seems like we're sending money everywhere, and that's out of our pockets for our tax dollars. I mean, my God, why does everyone need our money? Why don't they send me some money? I mean, I'm just sick of them sending money everywhere. I really am.
I know. Yeah, all over.
Well, you know, life in business are compromises. Okay, you've always got to make compromise. You cannot get everything you want every time. You can't. But there's certain things that when you compromise on them, I think if he does it'll be very damaging to him in the long term if he supports the Ukraine war.
Well, I hope that I don't know if we can get somebody in there that doesn't support the Ukraine.
I don't think.
No, until the first ballot of whoever gets the most votes, and I hope it's
Byron Donalds is Brian in black. All right.
He is one of the smartest guys I've ever seen. I've watched him so many months. This guy is so impressive.
Yeah, he is. He's a smart guy.
Yes.
Yep.
Let's just hope for the best, Brian.
All right, yeah, hope for the best. See, we're a little demoralized here today. I'm not demoralized by it. I'm just, this is obviously what's going on, and I want to talk about it. I'm not going to not talk about it because it seems demoralizing. It's obviously what's being discussed here. And I agree with the last caller. I don't think it's possible to get a Speaker of the House in there that doesn't come out in favor of this Ukraine funding. I don't think it's possible. It's that big of a deal to the donors. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Cynthia from Martin County.
Hey, Cynthia, what's up?
I want to give a history lesson. Byron Donalds has been around for a long time. He was the first candidate that the Tea Party supported. He ran as a fiscal conservative. That means, no, we should not be spending any more money in Ukraine, and I'm sorry, I like Israel, I have nothing against it, but they're very rich, and why are we sending them money? We're going to be broke. The Federal Reserve is digitizing the money. This is what this is about. This is a cover-up, basically, to hide what the Federal Reserve is doing, which is not a federal agency. Which, by the way, when asked the question, Byron Donalds years ago, would you audit the Federal Reserve? What was his remark? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
On tape, he came to one of our meetings. Okay, so where are we with that now?
Yeah.
We're going to go broke, and what are the American people going to do? Excuse me, are any of these countries going to come over here and give us money?
Of course not. Of course not.
War.
All they do is take.
Right, we've given all of our ammunition. This is the excuse now. All of our ammunition went to Ukraine, so now we have to build up the military-industrial complex, okay? I mean, they said it, right? I mean, they're admitting it. I'm sorry. No, I'm waiting for 2024.
So you think that if Byron Donalds caves to that compromise, which is what they're pitching to him, and that may be why he's getting some people endorsing him that were against Jim Jordan, if they've been talking about this Ukraine funding. If he supports the Ukraine funding, which it looks like he'll have to do to become Speaker, what would that mean so far as your support for Byron Donalds?
Well, it's already, I mean, he's not perfect. Everybody ought to look at his record. I would say that to you. That's from the people, if you want to know his record. I mean, you can call some people that I know that are very involved in his district.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the past record. I'm talking about now. These guys, they get to that position and then they change a lot of times.
All right, well, let me tell you how I feel. They are not in session. Good. They can't spend any money. They can't write any legislation. They're in a panic now. Ooh, we can't do the business. Not the business of the people. Stop falling for that. It's not the business of the people. It's the business of the donors.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
So we are actually lucky that we don't have a speaker. I would say, hey, let's run the clock. We don't have a speaker for the next month. What do you think it's going to be?
I'm all in favor of that. I don't care if we don't have a speaker for the next year. I think it'd be beautiful.
Right. That's right. And maybe if he goes down and Emmers goes down, because Emmers is a bad guy, okay, no doubt about it, even though he has the digital currency bill and Senator Cruz has the companion bill, let them all go down. You know why? Because maybe then Trump would say, yeah, I'll take it for 100 days.
Mm-hmm.
And how beautiful would that be? Because just think of all the things that he could...
Well, they're not... he just can't say it. He has to get the votes. But, the Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene crew, if they stand together, could stop us from having a speaker. I think that would be right now... I think I'd prefer to have no speaker than a speaker who supports this gangster in Ukraine.
I hope Matt and I hope Marjorie stand tall and go against all of the spending because they should. They know what's going on. It's not a secret anymore. Everybody can look it up. I mean, we're just going to... listen, we're facing a crash. Are you prepared? Am I prepared? Do I want to lose? Do I want to go into a depression?
Mm-hmm.
What could happen to us?
That's right.
I don't think the American people know. Where are you hearing that? You're not hearing that Fox and frauds, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You got Lindsey Graham out there. I mean, let's take a look at Lindsey Graham. I get on a conference call every Sunday night, and I can tell you, he runs the show in South Carolina.
I've never seen The way Lindsey Graham was yesterday in Israel with that Newsmax reporter was so out of character to him. I've never heard him so angry at anyone before. It's that
He's not getting his way. He's got war. He's part of the military. And go back and listen. Go back and remember McCain and him and that whole crowd. They're all for that. They never stop.
Yeah, in fact, Lindsey Graham is one of the jerks that has called for total war with Iran.
Absolutely. He was also part of Gang of the Eight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's open up the borders. Okay, which was a big mistake. Now, let me tell you. I'm going to say that Senator Rubio has done a good job recently, and he has said that he wants to close the borders. He got tied up into that. He was very young. Now he's more seasoned, and I think he's pretty smart.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, no, we have to stop this. We cannot keep spending money. Look, the whole Ukraine thing we know that this is also about Biden.
Yep.
Running the money through and the cartel that he has going on there, the cabal. That's all part of it. And we all know that. And it's about time that these congressmen step up to the plate, even if you have something in your closet, step up to the plate. Do you want to save our country? That's what I'm saying.
No, none of them are there for the country. They're all there to get rich. And, I mean, with the fentanyl trafficking and everything, Joe Biden may be trafficking more drugs than El Chapo at his peak. Really. I'm serious about that. Cynthia, I gotta run, but thank you for the call. If you're on hold, stand by. We're up against our last break of the first hour. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. Our number is toll free 1-888-GO-KANE 1-888-465-2631. When we get back from the break, we'll go right back to our calls 1-888-465-2631. Don't go anywhere. Back after this.
The cold, hard truth.
It's one of those days, guys. Now, guys, I pinned in the chat, you can get your free copy of Joe Thomas's book, The Retirement Know-It-All. Just click that link, and he'll send you a free copy of his book. And you'll see his phone number there. If you call, you can set up a free consultation with Joe Thomas. He's a financial advisor. And no matter where you're located in the United States, you can schedule a free consultation with him. But if you click that link, you can get this book for free. And, of course, when you do that, you're supporting the show and all our content. So please do that. We'll be back shortly.
Give us a call, 954-249-5858.
Borrow from China. I mean, we may be a client state of China, really. We may be totally controlled by China already. I mean, I think we probably are. How many people at the upper levels of the government are controlled by China? Are we an independent nation right now, or are we a client state of China? What would you say? Are we a free nation, independent nation, or a client state of China? Think about that. All right.
Take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right, welcome back, one and all. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine, Brian.
Hey, Jeff, what's up?
We know that what's going on in Ukraine is just a money laundering scheme, and what we need to make sure is that's not happening in Israel. But I guarantee you right now, because of Genesis 12:3, God said, I will bless those that bless thee. I'll curse them that curse thee, to Abraham, the father of Jews, and we better support them. And if you took a poll in your chat room right now, 90% of the people are going to say amen, Brother Jeff.
Well, but you know what? Jeff? That's what they're. But you don't you see what these gangsters are doing? Because obviously we want to support Israel, and we have to support Israel, right? So they tie up this criminal operation in Ukraine going on with that funding. What are we doing? Look at what they've gotten us to do.
I see that, but you know, Iran right now has troops lining up in Israel. If we do not support them 100%, Iran would attack them with a larger wave of attack.
I don't know about that. The first time I heard of Iran, I was in the 3rd grade when they took our hostages in 1979. And since 1979, all I've been hearing is Iran's going to attack us, Iran's going to attack us, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Now, I know they're behind all the terrorism and Hamas, I get that. But I don't think Iran is going to make a land move like that. You'd be talking about nuclear Armageddon. I just don't see that happening.
Right. Well, they've said that if they ever get a nuclear bomb, that they'd wipe Israel off the map. They have said that from their highest government officials. They are a very real threat. So I think we need to keep them under. I believe that our military went over there to do a deterrent to Iran. I believe that was a good move. What do you think about that?
No, I don't think it's a good move. We really, with these wars now, what's going on right now with Israel and Gaza is a different situation than Iran and Ukraine and Russia. But here we are. How long has this Ukraine business been going on? There's been no peace talks. They refuse peace talks. In the early days, Ukraine was actually talking peace talks, and Biden has stopped any peace talks. This endless war that we are in has got to be stopped.
And that's all the Democrats ever want to do, is an ever-perpetuating war after war, because that's part of their scheme to hide money. We all know it's about money. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to Israel, it comes down to prophecy and promises made by the Lord. And I believe that there's a lot of things going on that, Israel's dome cannot keep up with the barrage of rockets coming in. Did you see the weapons seized by Iran, Hamas, the kind of weapons they have?
Yeah.
That came from Iran, Brian.
Well, a lot of the weapons Hamas have are American weapons, too.
Yeah, because of Afghanistan.
And it's not just, they don't just have, I was watching, there's that guy on Fox who's, I don't know his name, the guy that, he lost his legs, he was a demolitions guy. And I saw him over the weekend going through the weapons that the Hamas people have been found with. They have Italian weapons, American weapons, Russian weapons. They have a mismatch of weapons from every conflict and every nation on the planet that manufactures weapons. But a lot of what they have, at least the rifles, are American weapons, probably from Afghanistan.
Yep. And can I say one thing more, because I think this really wraps up with everything I've said. All we need to do is get Trump back in the office. This all goes away.
Oh, yeah, it would end yesterday. All right, Jeff, take care. Thank you for the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Ronnie Big W from West Palm Beach.
Hey, all right, West Palm, what's up?
Oh, I'm going to let you know, no, I would not vote for Byron Donalds in. Did I not hear him say that he loved this president? Am I mistaken?
No. When he talked about the president, he was talking about Donald Trump, not Biden.
Okay. If that's the case, then so be it.
Yeah.
I was like really confused. Like, did I hear them say that, or am I losing my?
Yeah, he was talking about Donald Trump. When Byron Donald says the president, he means Donald Trump. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, then, therefore, yeah, he will have my support. Not for Joe Biden, anything. And
yeah.
I agree with you 100%. They should not be funding Ukraine anymore.
Yeah.
And then they should keep the two separate if they're going to do that. They should not combine.
Yeah, but they're not. These jerks in Congress have already got all the bills together to combine them. They're forcing us into a position that if you don't support Ukraine, you're letting Israel, run out of weapons.
Well, I think Matt Gaetz them should toe the line and keep it like no House Speaker then, if that's the case.
I agree.
I really feel that.
I agree.
Our chances are better. But that's all I really have.
All right. All right. Great calls, by the way, today on the program. Great calls, upper level calls, well thought out calls, which is nice. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
You know what they're doing? We're talking about government gangsters, cash control book, right? And this is what this is what the Byron Donalds is dealing with. The old school mob, what they to get you to do something to get protection money. Oh, it'd be a shame if your business burned down, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what they're doing with Donalds.
Yeah, it's a mob tactic.
Yep, that's right. They're government gangsters. They want this stuff to continue, and they're doing whatever they can to get it to continue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right on the money, Mike. Hey, Mike in Louisiana, take care. Now, I just want to, on a side note, with Mike in Louisiana, now if you remember, I talked to Mike from Louisiana, I don't know, a week or two ago, I don't know how long it was, and I said, hey, Mike, you're a little too chronic. You can't be the first caller every day. And look what happened. He's like the fifth, sixth caller, and, that's, see, isn't that nice? He gets it, and that's nice. I appreciate that. Nice guy. All right, 1-888-GO-CANE-1 is our number. So over the weekend, Byron Donalds went on Fox, and he sat down with, I forgot her first name, Duffy, the girl from The Real World that's on Fox on the weekends, and he gave his pitch to her as to why he should be the speaker. Let me play some of this. This is a little more specific than he gave yesterday on the Capitol steps, and then we'll talk about it as it goes on.
First, we got to get back to work immediately. We have to get these appropriation bills done. We must secure our border. If we're going to continue government funding, the border must be secured, and the White House has to realize that and take us seriously.
Okay, now, see, that I like. He's saying, okay, these budget bills, these appropriation bills that they got to pass, he says to do that, we've got to secure the border. Now, that's what I like. But that was the day before yesterday, okay? That was the day before yesterday. Yesterday, he's talking a little different. But on Sunday, he's talking about, okay, they can get their appropriations bill through this budget, continuing resolution, whatever they call it, but we got to secure the border first. See, he's taking a hard stance on the wheeling and dealing there. That I like.
Number two, we have a true ability to expand our majorities past this Congress. We can do that with strong, direct leadership where the White House knows where we stand. The American people see the strategies and the work that the Republican majority is trying to get done. I totally believe that. And number three, we can have unity in our conference. It's going to start with a fresh voice in leadership, working with all of our colleagues to accomplish the mission that our voters sent here to do. But let me be very clear. We don't have a money problem with respect to the southern border. We have a policy problem. The policies were put in place by Joe Biden when he became president of the United States.
See, now, he mentioned the southern border. I would say the two biggest problems that MAGA Republicans want taken care of in this order are, number one, secure the southern border, and that I know that's, and that entails a lot, right? Sealing the border, retaking the parts of Texas that have been overrun by the cartels, and stop people from coming here. When you say secure the border, it means a whole bunch of things. That's number one. And number two is get us out of this endless war in the 51st state of Ukraine.
Those policies have to be reversed. House Republicans have supported the strongest border security package that has ever passed the House of Representatives in H.R. 2. The elements of H.R. 2, frankly, all of it should be implemented immediately by the White House. They can do this tomorrow. So if the White House is going to come and say they want more money, then we're going to say, no, you need to change your policies, because the American people want to be supportive around the globe. We are going to be supportive of Israel, but we must secure our border. It must occur, and it needs to happen immediately.
Okay. So the reason I share this with you is you notice everything he talks about goes back to the southern border. So let me ask you this question. You know, when you're in business, politics is business. You have to negotiate. Nobody gets everything they want. Everybody's got to give a little to get something. So updating kind of what's going on with Byron Donalds here, and he said at the beginning of this clip that this is his pitch. If Byron Donalds made a deal to secure the border and everything that involves happening in exchange for allowing them this next funding bill with Ukraine tied to the Israeli funding, would that be okay with you? If he could get a deal where they shut down the border, secured it, took back the parts of Texas that they've taken over in exchange for giving them the Ukraine funding on this next round tied to the Israeli funding, would that be okay? Because the alternative would be for them to get everything, get the Ukraine funding and not secure the border. Would that be a compromise that would be acceptable to you? Let me know. 1-888-GO-KANE-1.
What's your position on more money for Ukraine?
My position is that we have to change a number of things. Number one, we need an inspector general over there actually accounting for those dollars. Number two, the White House needs to actually have a strategy for us. And what's the purpose and what's the end goal of all of this? All of that has not been clear. And here's the biggest one, Rachel. This money has to be paid for. The White House wants $60 billion. Meanwhile, one of the key elements of their plan with respect to the Green New Deal, estimates are it's going to cost the American people.
Okay, so enough of that. So he didn't say no to the Ukraine funding. He wants an audit of the monies that are sent there. So that's an indicator over the weekend with Byron Donalds that he'll make a deal with them to continue Ukraine funding. So your thoughts on all of this are welcome at 1-888-GO-KANE-1, 888-465-2631. I want to tell you guys our 5th annual Steve Kane Show MAGA Cruise is coming up April 27th. And call Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot and make your reservations. I told you we snagged some veranda balcony rooms, and he'll tell you about those when you call. They are very, very few on this ship. In fact, I haven't talked to Ian in a couple days. I'll touch base with him after the show to find out what the current status is on those cabins, but they've been filling up. We're going to Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, and we're going on the Celebrity Beyond, the flagship of Celebrity Cruise Lines. We're going to have a great time, dinner together every night. We go to the shows together, shore excursions, and everything else, and you are invited. Here's Ian's number at Cruise and Travel Depot, 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. All right, I'm Brian. 1 hour down, 2 to go. Back after this.
WNN Pompano Beach. WIRK HD3 Indiantown. Programming paid for by the Canales Media Group. Broadcasting from the Rome Studio. Injured recently? Call the Rome's Law Group, where winning is a habit. 561-570.
All right.
561-570-5700. Rome's winning for you and our community. Your home for the Steve Kane Show.
Yeah, I mean, this is, we're seeing things happen in real time out in the open that you normally don't see. And we're seeing I see a big shift in him on Ukraine, don't you guys? So what does that mean? Do you still want him to be the speaker? I know, it's rough.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. It's showtime at PBKC.
Get your tickets now for exciting live events in the Paddock. Enjoy dinner and a show with Let It Be, the ultimate tribute to the Beatles on Friday, November 17th, and Chris McDonald's Merry Christmas Baby, December 15th. Then get ready to laugh out loud in December with comedians Andrew Dice Clay, Jackie Martling, and Jimmy Fallon. For more information, go to pbkennelclub.com.
Here's your True Oldies ABC News Update.
ABC News Now, I'm Tom Rivers. Israel's been bombarding Gaza from the air for 2 weeks now, but has not invaded. The U.S. asked Israel to consider delaying an invasion to get more hostages out and more humanitarian aid in. A senior U.S. official says there is deep concern an Israeli ground invasion of Gaza could trigger a larger war. The White House yesterday accused Iran of actively facilitating rocket and drone attacks on U.S. military bases in the region from Syria to Iraq and beyond, launched by militant groups from Hezbollah to the Houthis. ABC's Andrew.
Oh yeah, AOC is definitely insane. She's definitely insane. No doubt about that. We'll be back shortly, guys.
RV Hour, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., right here on the True Oldies Channel.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show.
All right. We are back. Hour number 2 has begun. It's Tuesday, October 24th, 2023. My name is Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Now, I've been telling you guys, Steve obviously has been out. He's been under the weather. I talked to Steve last night, and it was the first time I didn't talk to Steve over the weekend because I knew he had the rest. So I gave him the weekend me calling, and he's doing much better. Hopefully we'll be returning soon to the airwaves, all right? So just to catch you up on what we've been talking about, talking about Byron Donalds, it looks as if Byron Donalds may have made a deal with the establishment to continue the Ukraine funding in exchange for some things that I've gone over in the first hour, which I'm not going to recap right now. So I'm asking you all, is that an okay exchange in your mind? Are you still with Byron Donalds if he makes that deal? 1-888-GO-KANE-1. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Joan from Tampa Bay.
Hey, Joan.
Aren't the Ukrainian people, don't they pay taxes into the
No, they pay nothing. We are funding everything in Ukraine, including the salaries of their trash men. No, they're paying nothing. They're living free.
Well, I don't think that's correct. I think they should tax their own.
Well, should. That's the world of should. But if the Ukrainian people pay, how's Biden going to get his 10%?
There you go. But also, listen, I called Laura Lee, my congresswoman, the other day, and I put in a thing for Byron. I said, Jim was my number one choice, but Byron was my number two. And then, every time I call her, I also say, what is the tax ID number to claim the Ukraine as a dependent on my tax return?
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Well, they're drinking from the teat of us,
I tell you guys, I watch this guy on YouTube, Pavlo in Ukraine. He lives out in the country with his bikini model girlfriend, his parents, and grandma, and he's in the middle of renovating a house, and he's military age. I don't see any bombs going off. I don't see any shelters. I don't see any soldiers or anything. They're just having a great old time.
Yep, I watched Pavlov after you recommend.
Pavlo in Ukraine, from Ukraine, yeah.
Yeah.
And I watched that because you see what's really going on in Ukraine, and it doesn't look like much, does it?
No, he goes to the hardware store like a Home Depot there and gets all his paint and all his...
Exactly. Now apparently there's one shortage they're having, bras, because his girlfriend doesn't appear to have any, so they're having a hard time getting bras over there apparently. But or that may just be to try to get people to watch his videos. I'm not sure. But I've been watching Pavlo from Ukraine for the last year or so, and there's no war in there. There's no war.
And their own money like crazy and throw themselves into a recession. Mm-hmm. And spend their own money. Period.
Yeah. It's pretty disgusting. You know what's going on in Israel. Here we are approaching like 3 weeks, a month. We haven't seen any footage at all of any battles or death or destruction in Ukraine at any of this time, and that just tells me there's no fighting going on to speak of. If there was any death or destruction, they'd have it all over there to try to get us on board with Ukraine. If you remember when Bush was pushing the Iraq War back with the WMDs, we were at war with Afghanistan, and they were showing us all kinds of things, physical evidence that we learned later was falsified to get us involved. We're seeing nothing in Ukraine to show us that there's any conflict going on whatsoever.
Well, winter's coming, and with the winter comes the snow and the rain, and their tanks and all their stuff can't get through everything, so everybody runs home for a while.
That's right. All right, take care. Appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative.
Oh, hey, Doug.
Byron Donald's good guy, but he's not Jim Jordan, and I'm really sick that these Republicans that voted against Jim Jordan, they need to be listed and voted out and get some good people in there. Because, man, this guy is a good guy, but I'm definitely not in favor of...
So if Byron Donalds, and it looks like he's making a deal, okay? It looks like he's already talking about it. If Byron Donalds makes a deal to become Speaker, to continue to fund Ukraine, connected to the funding for Israel, in exchange for shutting down the southern border, would you go along with that or not?
Well, that's a tough one, man, because the border has to be shut down. This is really disgusting what's going on. Mm-hmm. So is funding Ukraine. So it depends. Maybe if there's a smaller amount going to Ukraine, I might be okay. But it's
not a small amount. It's not a small amount's what's in my pocket right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I tried to look up how much does the United States give totally in aid to all the world. You can't find out. There's nothing I can find on Google to find out exactly how much. If everybody knew how much we were giving away, I think people would be really upset at what's...
Oh, yeah.
Man, and there's no number I can find it. They have
No, you'll never find it. You will never find it.
This is so much corruption. We got to get the right people in office because this is not going to fix. Nothing going to fix. Mm-hmm. We're going to be taken over by South America because
taken over. I mean, the big question. I mean, this is a scary thought, but are we an independent nation, the United States, or are we a client state of China? China owns our president and many of our high-ranking federal officials. Have we been conquered by China and do not even know it?
Yeah, I think you might be right. Certainly, there's a possibility they own lots of land. They're buying.
I mean, they flew those spy balloons over the country. No one did anything, and they've done a lot of other things too. So yeah, I think that the chances are that this country has been conquered in an unusual way by buying off public officials by China.
And there's other countries we owe a lot of money to, so I guess it's just
It's not owing money. They bribe our officials. Listen, this guy Menendez pleads not guilty, Gold Bar Menendez. And his attitude is, what am I doing that Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell are not doing? I'm doing the same thing they are on a much smaller scale. I'm not even doing as much as they are, so why am I getting arrested? Why am I going to court?
Yeah, the court system is all messed up, and they're worried about Trump's attorneys. Yeah, really, it's sick. Really, I can't believe what's going on. American people better wake up. We better start voting the right people in and get this country back. We're lost, man.
That's true.
President Trump can only do so much. We need the Congress to be.
That's true. All right, Doug, you're right on the money. I appreciate that. Our number 1-888-GO-CANE-1. Now, it is Christmas shopping season, and the best place to do your Christmas shopping is MyPillow.com. With our promo code CANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, you can save up to 80% off the items at MyPillow.com. And my wife and I, we do the majority of our Christmas shopping at MyPillow.com. And like I tell you to do, we use the promo code CANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. And you can use our promo code CANE on all the specials at MyPillow.com, not just the ones that I talk about, but right now the MyPillow My Slippers, they have a whole bunch of new colors in and new sizes, larger and wider sizes for the men, smaller sizes for children and ladies. Those are $100 off with our promo code CANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, and those they're less than $40 now, and they make great Christmas gifts. The MyPillow 6-piece towel sets, 50% off with our promo code CANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. Those towel sets, those make great Christmas gifts. Or, if you're giving someone something that never has had anything from MyPillow before, start out with the MyPillow itself. Huge savings on that, too, with our promo code CANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code CANE, K-A-N-E. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-CANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Brian Craig here. I've suffered with massive pain in my knee for years, but not anymore. It's all gone, thanks to Dr. Appleton and his laser away pain system. I'm in studio right now with Dr. Appleton. Dr. Appleton, how'd you do it?
Well, I treated your knee pain with laser. Treatment is simple and no side effects. I have robotic lasers that have a wonderful effect on joint pain.
I'm just getting organized for the next segment.
Tell the listeners what other areas you can help them with. Any joint I can do, shoulder pain, hip pain, sciatica, stenosis, arthritis, tendonitis, bursitis, from the foot all the way up through the neck.
Dr. Appleton is a chiropractic physician, and with the laser away pain system, there's no injections, no surgery, and no drugs. He's open 6 days a week, and same-day appointments are available. Call right now for your free consultation. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. Make sure to tell Dr. Appleton you heard about him on the radio.
This is Steve Kane. I want to tell you about my favorite restaurant in all of South Florida, Wings Plus in Coral Springs. Wings just the way you like them.
Oh, my iPad is on its last leg. It really is.
Everything homemade, nothing comes out of a can. Dozens of specialties.
I only use my iPad when I'm on the air here. I don't use it any other time. So I think iPads are kind of not really needed too much with iPhones, right?
Plus, get up to 30% off all specialty dining, beverage packages, shore excursions, and more. This exclusive Black Friday sneak peek only lasts a few days, so go to margaritavillage.com and book today to save on the biggest sale of the year.
Brian Craig here with a question for seniors and those who care about them. How would you like to have instant access to a healthcare advocate at the touch of a button? Would that make life easier for you? You can with I Will Advocates. I Will Advocates.
We'll be back right after this.
Help with your pharmacy, even deal with your pharmacist to make sure that you have your prescriptions. They'll help you find a doctor, including a specialist. If you've been billed improperly by a doctor's office or a hospital, they can help you with that too. They'll even be your advocate when you're in the hospital to make sure you get the care you need and the care you deserve. And that's just the beginning of what they do. I Will Advocates takes care of all Steve Kane's healthcare issues too, and they can do the same for you. I Will Advocate clients are family, and they go to bat for their family when you need them the most. Call Debbie at I Will Advocates right now. Toll free 1-877-275-2326. 1-877-275-2326. 1-877-275-2326. Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, Harrison Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at TrueOldiesFLA.com.
All right, yes, we are back. Callers on hold, stand by. Our number 1-888-GO-KANE, 1-888-465-2631. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, everybody. This is Jane in Louisiana.
Hey, Jane. What's up?
Good. Oh, nothing. Just trying to get off working a little bit. Well, I'm sure Byron will consult President Trump on this, so I'm not worried. They're going to do the right thing. I just think those Washington yahoos are seeing that their money-grubbing time up, and they're trying to get the last little bit of money they can.
Well, that's all they do. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry Byron has to start out his speakership like this, but, remember President Trump had to make that big concession over the budget one time? Mm-hmm. He wanted for the military.
Yep.
If we have to give more money to Ukraine to get a speaker that will secure our border, we'll just have to suck it up.
Okay. But, I agree, but, there's no way you can get in without making deals and compromises. Yeah. That's a big one. And so let's say that Byron Donalds makes this deal. Okay, you can fund Ukraine, you can tie it to the Israeli funding in exchange for securing the border. What does that mean? Does that mean that all of a sudden Joe Biden is going to shut down the southern border? Is that even a credible thought that Joe Biden would shut down the southern border?
No, he's not.
Okay, so that kind of seems to be a sucker's deal. If you were to make that deal, if he's not going to secure the southern border, how can you make a deal to give him his Ukraine funding in exchange for securing the southern border? Right? I mean, I don't see Biden doing anything to slow down what's going on down there.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
We're done until Trump's back. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's it. All right, take care. Thanks for the call. I mean, that's the reality of it. Now, I was telling you yesterday this terrible stabbing death of this Jewish woman in Michigan. My goodness. And the woman was stabbed to death in front of her home. They say today, well, they didn't say, they said the police will soon be naming the suspect in the killing. Who do you think it's going to be? What do you think the background of that person is going to be? But this poor Jewish lady, who obviously I think it's safe to assume is a victim of a hate crime, stabbed to death in front of her home, that was in Tlaib's district. And that's left out of the stories. They don't want you to know that it was in Tlaib's congressional district, who just led a Palestinian-supporting insurrection against the Capitol last week. And yesterday in the White House press briefing, Jean-Pierre was asked about the hate crimes against Jews and what's going on in the situation, and her immediate response is pretty sickening. Listen.
Level of concern right now about the potential rise of anti-Semitism in light of everything that's going on in Israel.
So a couple of things. We have not seen any credible threats. I know there's been always questions about credible threats, and so
other than the woman, the Jewish woman who led a synagogue, who was stabbed to death in front of her home, brutally murdered in Tlaib's district. Other than the examples, we have seen nothing.
The potential rise of anti-Semitism in light of everything that's going on in Israel.
So a couple of things. We have not seen any credible threats. I know there's been always questions about credible threats, and so just want to make sure that that's out there. But look, Muslim and those perceived to be Muslim have endured a disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks.
Wow, do you hear this? They're asking her about anti-Semitism against Jews in this country, and Jean-Pierre, no evidence of that. A Jewish woman stabbed to death who ran a synagogue in Tlaib's district, but she's seen, well, I guess it depends on what news you're watching. If you get your news from Al Jazeera, you probably don't hear stories like that. But you notice with Jean-Pierre, an immediate defense of anti-Muslim activity. By the way, where's that at? In this country, where's that at? Seems like the Muslims are out all over the place causing all kinds of havoc.
Of concern right now about the potential rise of anti-Semitism in light of everything that's going on in Israel.
So a couple of things. We have not seen any credible threats. I know there's been always questions about credible threats, and so just want to make sure that that's out there. But look, Muslim and those perceived to be Muslim have endured a disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks, and certainly President Biden understands that many of our Muslim, Arab Americans and Palestinian American loved ones and neighbors are worried about the hate being...
Is Jean-Pierre capable of saying Jews or Jewish people? Can she say that? I mean, is it something she's not able to say?
Directed at their communities, and that is something you heard the president speak to in his address just last Thursday. And so one of the things that the president has done is directed his team, Homeland Security team, to prioritize prevention and disruption of any emerging threats that could harm the Jewish, the Muslim, and Arab American.
Oh, she said it. She said Jewish. She said it. Wow, once.
Or any other communities, and that is something that the president has sought to do and since day one. As you know, the president ran on protecting communities, obviously, but bringing people together, protecting the soul of the nation, and so that is something that the president takes very, very seriously, and we're going to continue to denounce any sort of hate towards any American here, and so that's what we're going to continue to be steadfast on. Again, he has directed his Homeland Security team to make sure that they're on top of this.
But she said nothing. I mean, she actually said nothing there, and she did you notice? At no point did Jean-Pierre condemn anti-Semitism, in particular the murder of the woman, the stabbing death, which is a very brutal way to go, of the woman in Michigan, in Tlaib's district. And just yesterday, on Friday, this story just broke yesterday, okay? And this happened Friday. And I follow the news pretty carefully, and I did not see this. It took 2-3 days for me to see this because it's been silenced. On Friday, a group of activists from the Adala Justice Project, Dissenters and Dream Defenders occupied the D.C. office of California Congressmember Ro Khanna to demand they sign on to a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, and of course they're condemning Israel, and they have the support of Ilhan Omar. So this is the third time that these Palestinian activists, terrorist activists, because they're supporting the terrorist actions. They're not terrorists, but they're supporting the terrorist actions, right? They don't want a response to them. This is the third time, second congressional office, and then, of course, they occupied the Capitol Rotunda and everything. This is the third time that the Palestinian activists, the pro-terrorist activists, the anti-Israeli activists, have shut down the business of the Congress and have illegally occupied areas of the Congress. I thought they told us that was an insurrection. So I'm losing track. Is this the third insurrection that the Palestinian anti-Israeli anti-Semites have taken part in since the attack on Israel? I think this is the third one. I'm losing track. It's happening almost every day. Either stopping government business is an insurrection or it isn't, right? And they say that it is. So this interrupted, yet again, government business. We're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour and be right back.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're going to really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. The greatest rock and roll hits of the 60s and 70s coming up this morning. From the Palm Beach Patio Furniture Weather Center, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created, here's the oldies forecast.
Hey, Dan, ready? Hope you're off to an awesome start on this Tuesday. Our highs are going to be in the lower 80s. We'll see a good deal of sunshine again today. A dry day overall. Some increased coastal conditions, though. We have small craft advisories up, and seas are going to be churned up. I'm WPBF 25 First Warning Meteorologist Sandra Shaw.
Weather brought to you by Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Route 1 Seminole Plaza Shops, North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Voted the best of the best patio stores in Palm Beach County. PalmBeachPatioFurniture.com, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created.
And now, a true oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Right now for your Palm Beach Police I-95 Turnpike Lane crash moving up to full speed. We're just seeing some light delays on I-95 and northbound from Beach to Boca. As for the service piece of a multi-vehicle crash right now on Military Trail just north of Belvedere Road. And we also have an earlier incident now cleared along Blaze Road heading eastbound approaching I-95. Further south into Broward County, a brush fire is closing Hillsborough Boulevard westbound with the lines running 441. Take Southwest 18th Street. This is sponsored by Batteries Plus Bulbs. Don't trust your phone to just any repair shop. Let the experts at Batteries Plus fix your screen, repair your phone, or replace the battery. Walk in or make an appointment at batteriesplus.com and save $10. Trust the experts at Batteries Plus. That's traffic for small.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. Check out the Moneymaker Tour in the Poker Room at PBKC October 25th through November 6th. Featuring over $650,000 in guarantees. 27 trophy events, including the $200,000 Mystery Bounty and $300,000 main event. You can also play your favorite casino table games like
My iPad's just not rotating like it should.
with just a $5 minimum 7 days a week. For more information, go to pbkennelclub.com.
Hey, good morning, Brian and Lisa. And my husband and I received our My Pillow 2.0 that we ordered with Kane the other day, the buy one get one free, and they're our first My Pillows, and we love them. We absolutely love them. They're just absolutely marvelous. Yeah, I'm so glad. I got slippers on the way too.
Go to mypillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, and buy your My Pillow 2.0. Right now, buy one, get one free. You can also order by phone, toll free, 800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane.
Big news, you don't have to wait for Black Friday to get an amazing deal on your next Bahamas cruise. Because Margaritaville at Sea is giving you a sneak peek.
By the way, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is our bottom of the hour break. We'll be back in just a minute.
Get a 3-day, 2-night cruise to the Bahamas, starting at just $89 for 2 guests. Plus, get up to 30% off all specialty dining, beverage packages, shore excursions, and more. This exclusive Black Friday sneak peek only lasts a few days, so go to MargaritaVillageSea.com and book today to save on the biggest sale of the year.
If you're a homeowner, business owner, or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting. Tom Laporta will give you a free evaluation. Laporta Contracting was voted one of the best general contractor and best roofers in South Florida. He's honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and will never sell you a roof you don't need. If you have an insurance claim, call your insurance company immediately. Then call Tom Laporta. New laws are in effect that allow Tom to negotiate directly
reading this article about Governor Whitmer. Oh, my goodness. I'll share it with you on the air. I'll take another call or two, then get to it. This is... All right. Callers on hold, stand by. It's Tuesday morning. I'm Brian. Our number 1-888-GO-KANE-1. I was just reading an article during the break that I'll share with you in a few minutes about Governor Whitmer in Michigan. This is insane. These people, I just don't understand how they think. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brother Brian. IB in Broward.
Hey, IB. What's up?
You hear me okay?
I can, yeah.
Peter. Oh, my God. I have to mute her. I have to mute Biden. I have to mute Janet yelling, bye. Yeah, Biden brought us together, all right. He brought people together. He brought them together at the border to swamp us. That's the way he brought them together, okay? As for this Ukraine money, Trump and Byron Donald, they're in the trenches. They get to see from up close what's going on. We can't. But know that no one makes the move without Trump. Whatever is being discussed now in the trenches, we have to have some kind of a conclusion to it. We need, like I told Steve 2 weeks ago, we need to have that seat MAGA. It has to be someone that's going to be for us in the long run. And the sacrifice of not allowing fentanyl or terrorists coming into our country right now is more important than how much money that they're actually printing. Each man and children right now in this country, each man owes about $250,000 to bring the debt down for the money that have been spent in the last couple of years, okay? And that ain't going to stop anytime soon.
Well, but you know what you're talking about. It's an interesting thing. So let me just recap and then restate what you're stating in a little different way. So with some context, we're talking about Byron Donalds. It looks, Lindsay. I'm just going to mute you while I'm talking because the air IB. Then when I'm done, I'll bring you back on. Lindsey Graham was over in Israel yesterday with other members of Congress, some of them Democrats, and just had a meltdown with a Newsmax reporter about he wants to tie the Ukraine money to the Israeli money, okay? And it looks like Byron Donalds is making a deal to do that in exchange for taking care of the southern border security. So the question I've been asking is, if he continues funding Ukraine, Byron Donalds, in exchange for the border security, if they really do it, would that be a compromise that would be acceptable to MAGA people? And you think it would be, because how many people are being killed through the fentanyl crisis alone and other crimes that are happening because of our open border?
I'll make it real simple. If the Democrats agree to put him in power, to Byron Donalds, put him as Speaker, to continue their funding, and they do not make movements to close the border down, then Biden would have lied directly to the Democrats and to the liberals. And if they did not try on a big face to close them or make efforts to close it down, then I think that we should be just as dirty and no more funding. Once Brian Donald gets in position, then we would now have that leverage to then slow down or impede any more funding. As for the weapons in Israel, if we can talk to the military people in Israel and find out if some of those weapons actually came from Ukraine, that will give us more leverage as not to print more money, because once the American people see that, then a lot of eyebrows must go up.
Mm-hmm.
How did weapons end up in the hands of those guys and then killed the people in Israel? And how come there's no cameras in Israel showing those burnt out safe rooms? How come they're not showing any of the burnt bodies on the ground? All they want to talk about is Palestinian kids. Well, you know what? They didn't start this, okay? Israel didn't start it. So you cannot now come back and say, hey, we cannot harm any kids. Well, they're not harming the kids intentionally. It's a part of war. These people had 3 weeks to get their butt moving, get whatever bicycle or car you have, and get your butt moving to where the safe zone is. I'm tired of America holding them back, their ground troops back over there, okay? They need to move before all the...
And I'm glad, by the way, thanks for the call, IB. I'm glad they're releasing these hostages, but they're releasing the old ladies. What about the girl on the motorcycle? What about that Instagram girl that made the hostage video last week? Why aren't they releasing those? Now, this is just insane. Governor Whitmer, listen to this. The Michigan, she's totally insane. If you look at Governor Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, you look at her speak, you can see it in her eyes. She is insane. She's a crazy woman. The Michigan Department, now keep in mind, they had that massive anti-Semitic hate crime over the weekend. Jewish woman stabbed to death in front of her home in Tlaib's district, right? The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Viral Hepatitis Unit. Is hepatitis still a thing? I guess it's such a big thing, they got to have a whole unit dedicated to it. Governor Whitmer's Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Viral Hepatitis Unit, which holds an annual harm reduction conference, featured a workshop at this year's event titled, this is in shock, I'm in shock at this, De-Centering Whiteness, an Equity-Based Approach. A description of the workshop said it explores biases that black and non-black people of color participants encounter while accessing medical and social services, as well as how these biases enter the employment space and create barriers for black, brown, indigenous, people of color, BIPOC individuals to achieve their highest potentials. The workshop explores bias, medical mistrust, generational trauma, white colonialist systems, and radical inclusion. Now keep in mind, this is Governor Whitmer's hepatitis unit that's doing this, which means whiteness is now a virus, according to Governor Whitmer, I guess. The beginning of the presentation has a slide warning audience members to be responsible for the energy you bring to this space. Hard truths will be discussed. The presentation went on to claim it is a myth that the birth of a nation began with Christopher Columbus discovering America, pilgrims settling, and then winning independence from England through the Revolution. By the way, the nation did not begin with Christopher Columbus or the pilgrims. We were not a nation yet, or during their lifetimes. Instead, the presentation, which referred to North America as Turtle Island, claimed the nation was born from violent land seizure, genocide of the indigenous populations, and economic development through forced labor of kidnapped and enslaved Africans. Again, this is the hepatitis unit that Governor Whitmer has, the virus of whiteness. The presentation called on people to decolonize harm reduction and urged organizations to fire any overt racist, transphobic, homophobic staff and hold dissenters accountable. The conference had a panel on sex workers that featured a porn star and emphasized the need for sex workers on the front lines of harm reduction and social justice, whatever that means. I don't understand any of this liberal stuff, okay? But I do know this. Have you seen the new season of Survivor? I'm a big Survivor. I've watched Survivor. It's the 45th season. I've watched it since day one. And I watched this season of Survivor. almost everyone on it is Gen Z age. They have a couple of people that are older, but just like two. And this generation is the first, this is the first Gen Z season of Survivor. It is frightening when you see this generation, okay? And I know every generation always says, those kids, this is not that. I know I sound like that, but it's not that. They had one girl who quit the first day. She just quit the show of Survivor. Been watching it her whole life. They had this one guy, Gen Z. He dived into the water, got something. He couldn't get back in the boat. He had to have help climbing up a ladder. They're unable to complete even the most minor of physical tasks because Generation Z is a generation of gamers who sit on the couch and their muscles don't work. Their muscles have never done any work before. And I'm watching this episode of Survivor, and I'm like, I don't know if I can watch it. If China's watching it, they must be jumping for joy and doing high fives. This is the military age man and woman we have in this country. And, part of Survivor is the interaction with people. None of them can interact because they've never had conversations with people. Everything is done through messaging apps and text messages. Okay? These contestants on Survivor for the first time are having conversations with people about things, and they've never had them before. It's pretty scary. And all this has happened because of things like this Whitmer conference that I was just talking about. We have a generation that is the most helpless generation of Americans that we have ever had, and it's happened through things like this and critical race theory and many other things that are going on. All right? I'm very surprised about this porn star at this workshop at Whitmer's because apparently this is a heterosexual porn star, not like a transgendered porn star or something like that. I'm surprised. I guess next year's conference they'll update to that. All right, listen, we're going to take our last break of the second hour. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. Our number 1-888-GO-KANE-1, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Hey neighbor, are you ready for our golf match? Sure am.
When is Joe Ramos coming in again?
8:30. Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
My mind went sidetracked because Mike told me to unlock the door at like 7:50.
Oh, maybe they'll come in early. He told me 8:30. I got a guest on the phone at 8.
I was about to say we also have Sequel 2 today.
Okay, yeah.
Which was
at 8:15?
8:15.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doomed. We're completely doomed. Let's see if I can find that. I'm going to play that clip of Lindsey Graham. I was going to play another thing I was going to do, but I want to play that because I'll forget. I think people need to hear it. It's crazy.
reducing their symptoms of aging. Our all-natural hormone optimization therapy is precise, easy, and effective from day one. Office visits are usually less than 5 times per year, and the cost is only $150 per month for most patients. Let our medical team get you optimized and living your best life. Our family medical practice has been serving South Florida for over 71 years. Let us show you what personalized medical care and being treated like family feels like. Call us at 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. Or visit us at lighthousemedicalcenter.com to schedule your consultation today.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on.
All right, welcome back, everyone. 47 minutes after the hour. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Remember, it's Medicare open enrollment period. The one time of year you can make changes to your Medicare policy. Call Debbie at I Will Advisors. Her family have been with us here on the Steve Kane Show since 1994, helping listeners of this program with their health insurance and their Medicare each and every year. And open enrollment is the only time of year, if you're a Medicare recipient, that you can make changes to your existing policy. Again, no matter where you are in Florida, Debbie can help. She'll do a great job for you. Steve had a prescription that was $2,000 a month not covered. Debbie took care of it. It's covered by his policy now. It's absolutely amazing. It is. Her number, 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. All right, now, I wanted to play this clip of Lindsey Graham. It is so out of character for Lindsey Graham to be this butch about anything, I got to tell you. So I've referenced it so many times, I figured I better play it so you guys can hear this. This was so strange. Lindsey Graham is in Israel yesterday with a group of members of Congress, some of them Democrats, meeting with the Israelis. And a Newsmax reporter who's a dual citizen, he's an American-Israeli citizen, and he's a Newsmax reporter. He's at this press conference, and he asks the Congress people about Tlaib, who, of course, we had this anti-Semitic hate crime in her district over the weekend, one of the most brutal anti-Semitic hate crimes of my memory in this country, the woman stabbed to death. Tlaib, of course, led that insurrection into the Capitol building last week, and even as recently as yesterday, even though it's been debunked over and over again, Tlaib is publicly speaking, blaming Israel, accusing Israel of attacking that hospital in Gaza. And, of course, spreading that lie is just beyond irresponsible. So this Newsmax reporter asks someone at this press conference about Tlaib, and Lindsey Graham has a complete freak out. Listen to this.
Can you turn that? Thank you. Daniel Cohen, I'm the Jerusalem correspondent for Newsmax. I want to say thank you for being here. My family lives here. I made Aliyah 2 years ago. So this is personal. I know many people were sent from the United States, and there's international press from around the world. And I heard every single one of you voicing your support for Israel fervently, stridently. And I heard that, and I received that into my heart. And so on behalf of my family and people, I'm an American and an Israeli citizen, I say thank you. But it starts at home. And I'd like to ask any Democrat senator here that would like to speak to Rashida Tlaib.
Okay, now see, he says Tlaib. Maybe that's the right way to pronounce it. I'm pronouncing it wrong. Now, asking about Tlaib is incredibly relevant, considering how high profile she is and what she's been doing the last couple of weeks. Now, after he asked the question, listen to what Lindsey Graham does.
But it starts at home. And I'd like to ask any Democrat senator here that would like to speak to Rashida Tlaib. She still has a tweet up condemning Israel for a hospital attack. And
stop.
It's not a...
No.
It's a fair question, Senator Graham.
We are here together, not to talk about the problems at home, which are many.
Question,
Got my
Senator.
own view of what to say. You're
Let's
not
say
going
it.
to screw this up.
I'm not trying to screw it
Get
up.
this guy out of here.
Wow.
I live here. I'm an Israeli. I want an answer to the question.
Now, so Lindsey Graham, see, he's got this guy. He's a Jew. He's out of control. Lindsey Graham wants a Jew that he cannot control removed from a room in Israel. I want you to think about that. Think about the visual of that. You know, we have what many are calling a second Holocaust about to begin, and Lindsey Graham wants a Jew removed from a room who's asking uncomfortable questions.
But it starts at home. And I'd like to ask any Democrat senator here that would like to speak to Rashida Tlaib, she still has a tweet up condemning Israel for a hospital attack. And
stop.
It's not a
No.
It's a fair question, Senator Graham.
We are here together, not to talk about the problems at home, which are many.
It's a fair
I've
question,
got my
Senator.
own view of what to say. You're
Let's
not
say
going to
it.
screw this up.
I'm not trying to screw it up.
Get this guy out of here. Now
I
let me
live
tell
here.
you,
I'm an Israeli. I want an answer to the question.
I'm an
please.
American.
And I am too.
And I believe in free speech. I don't believe what the squad...
Well, he believes in free speech, but he wants the Jew who's asking him difficult questions removed from the room so he can no longer speak freely. But he's for free speech.
You're not going to screw this up.
I'm not trying to screw it up.
Get this guy out of here. Now
I
let me
live
tell
here.
you,
I'm an Israeli. I want an answer to the question.
I'm
please.
an American.
And I am too.
And I believe in free speech. I don't believe what the squad has to say at all. But I came here with Democrats and Republicans to let everybody in the world know, don't judge every Democrat by the squad, and don't judge every Republican by some of the things you hear. Where the House...
No comment.
Yeah. Where the House, they'll get their act together, but we need to do our job. We need to do our job in the Senate. We need to pass a bill that will help Israel, help Ukraine. That's at least what I think. I think the House will show up. And I'm sorry, my friend, I probably shouldn't have said it, but my nerves are raw right now.
Okay, so Lindsey Graham's having some regret because he realized how it sounds to have a Jew removed from a room who's asking difficult questions. But also in that, in Israel, also in that, you got his confirmation that they want to tie the funding of the two conflicts together. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joe Ellen from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joe Ellen.
I can't stand Lindsey Graham. And what is concerning is that the relationship with he and Trump. I mean, I'm not the only one that has said that, has brought that to the forefront. I mean, why does he even deal with Lindsey Graham like he does? I'm not sure. But anyways, I can't stand Lindsey Graham. It's just... That's exactly who he is. Exactly what you.
Well, what would you say? How would you describe how he is? How would you describe that behavior? I've never seen him like that.
So I don't know. He just is. He's just an idiot. He is an idiot. I don't know how he gets where he gets, but that's not the first.
Well, listen. He usually caves to the strong male influence in his life. For many years, it was John McCain. Then it was Donald Trump. Now I don't know what man he's bowing down to. But Lindsey Graham, I think what I saw right there for the first time ever was his real personality that he kind of keeps hidden from us.
Yeah.
Nasty. Swamp creature. I mean, and to say remove a Jew who's asking uncomfortable questions from a room because they're asking questions about anti-Semitism, it's pretty disturbing.
Yeah, talk about. I don't know if you would call that establishment or part of the establishment, but somebody like that, I mean, you can't support. I don't know what is this support up there in? Is it South Carolina?
Well, he's entrenched. Yeah, he's entrenched in South Carolina, and there's only 100 senators, so you got to put up with some of these jerks when you're putting something through. I'm not going to fault Trump for working with Lindsey Graham if he votes the right way when we need him to. But what he's doing right now is criminal. He wants us at war with Iran. Tucker Carlson has a new episode of his Tucker on X show out, and Tucker says we are going to go to war with Iran, open war with Iran, and Lindsey Graham's leading the charge.
Yeah, I saw that Tucker episode with Ramaswamy, and of course, so I don't know. Well, Lindsey Graham has always been a warmonger. I think he's always supported.
It's not so much a warmonger; he's a war profiteer. I think which is worse. And I watched over the week because of everything going on in the speaker's race. I've been watching more of the cable news than I normally would because I need to hear perspective and things. And whenever they're talking about any of these wars, I don't hear any of them and any of the media talk about anything other than escalation. because it's good for TV ratings. They want a war like no one's business on all the cable news because it's good for ratings. I mean, it's sick.
Yeah, I have to tell you something. Brian Kilmeade, he was on the radio last week, and he said, it was talking about Trump, how Trump is 1 point ahead of Biden, and Nikki Haley was 4 points ahead. And I said,
where's that?
Nikki Haley, I have no idea what poll that was, but, he's such a Nikki Haley. They're really trying to push her. They're really
where Nikki Haley, who's also a war profiteer. Ramaswamy is the only good thing Ramaswamy has done is point out how many she was in debt when she left the governor's mansion, and now she's a millionaire several times over, and she's on the board of Boeing and some other military companies. So she's also a war profiteer who's pushing us towards war with Iran. And I don't know what poll Brian Kilmeade has that has Nikki Haley ahead of Trump, but I know this in the Republican.
Ahead of Biden, 4 points.
Among who? If you look at the latest Republican poll in South Carolina, where she was twice elected governor, Trump's beating her even there. In her own state, where she was twice elected governor, they're pushing Nikki Haley. They're trying to elevate her to be like the new Henry Kissinger or something that's on all these shows. She's supposed to be like the elder stateswoman that you go to for a rational opinion on all things. And I just don't think she has any credibility. And I got to tell you, it's tough for me to kind of look at her on TV. She's so weird looking.
I can't listen to her. She's so, she sounds like a lunatic.
So what do you think of Byron? If Byron Donalds makes a deal to be speaker to continue to fund Ukraine, would you still support him?
Well, and then close the border? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't see Biden closing the border. Biden's never going to close the border.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not one for funding Ukraine, but I think whoever gets in there, they're probably going to continue to send money.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It is sad.
So, but I'm for Byron, of course.
Yep. All right. Joellen. Yeah, I know.
Today.
Yeah, then they'll all come out and have a press conference, and we'll see. All right, take care. All right, we're coming to the end of the hour. We have a guest coming up in the next hour. Laura Loomer will be joining us on the phone in the next hour, and we're going to talk about a couple things. And I have one thing that Loomer doesn't know about, I don't think, that I'm going to bring up to her. And actually, I got an audio soundbite I'm going to play to Laura Loomer about her that she may not be familiar with yet. Although maybe she is. I don't know. We'll find out. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, South Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. And I mentioned in the first hour, Steve's been under the weather. I talked to Steve last night. He's doing much better. And I'm hoping he'll return this week. He was pretty under the weather, but he sounded a lot better last night. My name is Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be back with the third hour and Laura Loomer in just a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere.
WWNN Pompano Beach. WIRK HD3 Indiantown.
Steve Kane Show. Hello. Oh, hey. I've got Laura Loomer coming on right after the top of the hour. Can you call back like in 15 minutes? Yeah, call back. Yeah. Okay, great. Hi, it's Brian. Good. I'm going to put you on hold. We'll be on in just a couple minutes. Okay, hold on. That's Loomer.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club. Major expressway targets interfere at this time. You have a crash off to the right shoulder.
She probably knows about this thing I'm going to bring up, but you never know. Maybe she doesn't. I got to get it queued up, though. heck?
bundles let you choose from your favorite board, including a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, all small seasoned potatoes or medium hot coffee. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in new combos. Single item at regular price. That's traffic on Bruce Bar.
Where am I? All right. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. I'll get back to the calls after we're finished with Loomer. We've had a rough day today, technically, so.
Here's your True Oldies ABC News update. ABC News now. I'm Tom Rivers. Israel's been bombarding.
Yeah, I saw that story about that pilot. They're charging with like 65 counts of attempted murder, and I mean, what a freaking loon. You know, I don't like flying. I have not flown in years, and next month I'm going to California to see my daughter for a weekend, and it's the first time I've been on an airplane since 2009. I don't have time to travel too much, so you know, I travel on our ships and all that, but I haven't been on an airplane in 14 years. So the plane leaves in the afternoon, so I'll have a couple of drinks. Been a long time. Oh, Lindsey Graham was out of control. I mean, that was just so strange. I've never heard him so butch before, ever. The Feng thing never stopped. You don't think that the CCP are all into everyone Swalwell has contact with through his phones and communicate? Please. He's still an asset. Believe me. We'll be back in about 1 minute.
You'll get a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. So call Sloman's right now for this limited time offer.
Oh, man. All right, here we go.
To all who listen in the name of our Lord and Savior, Moments of Scripture, every Sunday at 6 a.m.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show.
All right, welcome back. The third hour has begun, and we've covered a lot today. On the line, we have Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Now, I know we're going to talk about President Trump and some exciting things, and some things about DeSantis. But I was scrolling through YouTube before I came into the radio station this morning, and I came across a video of someone attacking you that they just put up last night, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It was from Kim Iverson. Have you heard about this yet?
I have not heard about this.
Oh, this is awesome. How can I have something before Laura Loomer? This will never happen again. I'm going to play you the clip where she talks about you. It's on YouTube. Kim Iverson, I don't know too much about her other than she seems to side with the Palestinians over the Israelis, during these massacres. I thought she was somewhat conservative. I don't know. But she did a YouTube video where she attacked you, Ben Shapiro, Rubin, Dave Rubin, Rebel News, and who else did she do? Megyn Kelly, and said that you and the rest of those people that I named are into cancel culture right now. She went after Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, and then you were third before Megyn Kelly. And let me play this. This just went up like last night. This is Kim Iverson talking about you, Laura Loomer. Okay, and then I'll ask for your response. Listen.
We also have Loomer, Laura Loomer. So she's also been somebody who claims that she was for free speech. But she says, as many of you know, America is the... So she's in this squabble with this Danish doctor. And they're going back and forth. And to be honest with you, both of them say really hateful things. They're like made for each other, these two. And so she's going against this doctor, and she's saying, as many of you know, America is the only country with the First Amendment, but it is not the case in other countries, especially not in Denmark, where Dr. Lupus is a practicing physician. I suspect she will be losing her medical license soon. And even if you take this away, the fact that she's using her position as a medical doctor to make fake medical diagnosis of Jews online to smear them as mentally ill, because she called her mentally ill, is a violation of the Hippocratic Oath. You cannot falsely diagnose someone online in an effort to smear them. She needs to be reported for abusing her medical license. Her behavior is dangerous and highly illegal as a medical professional. So now she wants to, and she said later, I am reporting her. So Laura Loomer is now reporting this doctor, trying to get her fired, just like really digging into that cancel culture.
Okay, so she says you are now a cancel culture person. What is this all about with this doctor in you?
Yeah, so, it's really interesting because there's a really fine line between free speech and then supporting terrorism, right? And you have a lot of these pro-Hamas advocates like Kim Iverson, who is, posting. She's also one of the proponents of the hoax this last week we saw where the pro-Hamas terrorists and Palestinian individuals pushed this lie, I'm sure you're familiar with it, Brian, about how Israel supposedly bombed a hospital. And well, it turns out the hospital wasn't even bombed. And yet this lie resulted in Jewish people getting physically attacked, okay? And so because of these lies that these Hamas supporters and blatant Jew haters are spreading online, okay, and this wartime propaganda, the stuff that isn't even real, people are getting attacked in the streets of America. People are getting assaulted and getting threatened and having death threats issued against them, and it's inciting pro-terrorist rallies in America. And yeah, you have a right to criticize Israel if you want to criticize Israel. That's your free speech right. But when you start supporting groups that are designated as terrorist organizations by our State Department, and you start advocating for the eradication of Israel and the Jewish people, there's a fine line, Brian, between free speech and incitement. And so this doctor had posted, she claims to be a medical doctor, and she made a hit list of Jewish conservatives online where they put a Star of David over my face and the face of about 20 other people.
Wow.
And basically, called us genocide promoters. And this is a doctor who, claims to provide medical services, and she's online posting photoshopped caricatures of Jews that appear to be like completely burned, right? With anti-Semitic Nazi-style caricature that features Jews with large noses. And, if this is the kind of woman that is giving out, medical services, she's a medical professional who is calling for the eradication of Jewish people online. You shouldn't have a medical license.
Yeah.
There was an instance in Ohio a couple years ago where a Palestinian doctor lost their medical license because they made comments about how they were going to poison their pro-Israel and Jewish patients. So it's a public safety risk. And yeah, she has a right to, criticize Israel all she wants. But when you start using your position online to make false medical diagnoses of Jewish people and falsely accusing Jewish public figures of having mental illness because you don't like their pro-Israel views, that's a total violation of the Hippocratic Oath.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you did something like that.
And Kim Iverson, maybe she's not familiar, but Dr. Mingala was a doctor, okay? And I think his license should have been taken away too. All right, so that's not why we had you here today, but you know what happened with Kim Iverson is what you had mentioned there, is she got in bed with this pro-terrorist kind of position, and as opposed to admitting, hey, I was wrong about that hospital, she's digging in deeper into that really sick, twisted position.
Because I called her out on Twitter a couple days ago, and I asked her when she was going to apologize for spreading pro-Hamas propaganda. And she said, oh, well, it's really hard sometimes to keep up with all the information when it's moving so fast. Well, I didn't post pro-Hamas propaganda, so maybe do better next time.
Yeah.
Don't support a terrorist organization.
Exactly.
It's really simple here. It's not about whether you're pro-Palestinian or pro-Israel. You're either on the side of good or you're on the side of evil. Okay? To be pro-Palestinian is to be pro-Hamas. And if people don't understand that, then they should understand that the Palestinian people in Gaza elected Hamas to be their representative body. And internal polling inside Gaza shows that over 80% of Palestinians support the efforts of Hamas. And if you read the Hamas covenant, it explicitly calls for the eradication of Jews in Israel.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have all these social media influencers who think that they're geopolitical experts or counterterrorism experts, but they don't know anything, Brian. They don't know anything.
No, they don't, and unfortunately, they've been taught all this pro-Palestinian terrorist propaganda in college, and that's their reality, unfortunately. Now, listen, we didn't have you here to talk about this. We want to talk about President Trump and what he's doing, and we got a few things about Ron DeSanctimonious we need to cover. But first, we got to take a break, so I'm going to put you on hold, Laura Loomer. We're going to take a break, and then we'll come back from the break, and we'll get into President Trump and Ron DeSantis. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well. What do you have for us today, Barry?
Well, today I wanted to talk about what is elder law. Elder law is asset protection. And what are we protecting against? One of the biggest threats that we have as we age, and that threat is the cost of long-term care. If we need help with activities of daily living, such as feeding yourself, bathing, toileting, dressing, transferring, any of those kinds of things, then we may need that help either at home or outside of the home in a facility. All of those services providing care are very, very expensive, and it's only getting more and more expensive. So the cost of that care is a big problem for people as they're retired. A lot of people may be on fixed incomes. They have a limited nest egg remaining. And the big worry is to spend down your assets before and not go broke. So what do? You either have long-term care insurance, you spend down your assets, or you can get government benefits that can help. But the big myth out there that you already know, Brian, is that people think that you have to be broke or have very little income to qualify. And this is what elder law attorneys do. We help people who have assets and income over the limit to qualify for these benefits, such as Medicaid, so that you can protect your assets, not spend down your assets, not have to worry, not be a burden on your family financially, not be financially insecure or leave a spouse broke as well. So that's what we do in elder law.
Absolutely. And I want to point out, coming up on November 7th, the Siegel Law Group with Attorney Barry Siegel, you're having a Living Trust seminar in Boca. And listen, guys, these things fill up, as you often hear us tell you. They're completely free to attend, but the Siegel Law Group asks that you do call and let them know you're coming, and they'll give you directions when you call, by the way. And it's always a free consultation with the Siegel Law Group as well when you mention you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the radio. You can find them online at siegellawgroup.com or call 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk later in the week.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, back after this.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at TrueOldiesFLA.com.
All right, now back to Laura Loomer. Now, Laura Loomer, President Trump who just had an amazing event yesterday in New Hampshire. He's done something else that no one else would do. We've got this pathetic Republican primary debate coming up in Miami, and President Trump has scheduled a rally in Miami at the same time as the debate. This is an amazing thing that he's doing.
People aren't aware of this yet, but really exciting news. The ridiculous third GOP presidential debate is going to be taking place in Miami on November 8th. And, of course, President Donald Trump is not only just, a political genius, but he's also a genius troll as well. And so on November 8th at the same exact time at the third presidential debate, President Trump is going to be having a rally at 7 p.m. in Hialeah. And so you can actually get your free tickets to this rally on the Trump website. It's events.donaldjtrump.com/events. And then you can see for yourself, you can sign up for this rally, and I'm going to be going. I can't wait. I called you as soon as about this, Brian, and you said you're going to go, so we're going to go together. I think all of your listeners should go, because we want the media to see that while Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy and the other, rhino candidates running for president are going to be in Miami, everybody's going to be in Hialeah to support President.
Yeah, and this one's important to have overflow crowds as miles long, because the Miami rallies that Trump has had have always been huge events. But it's not only that the Republican debate is going on in Miami at the same time, it's Florida. This is Ron DeSantis' state. And for him to be shown off by President Trump in his own state is a double humiliation to him. Now,
right? President Trump is already over 38 points ahead of Ron DeSantis in his home state of Florida, where he's governor. So
yeah,
not even in the state where he's governor can Ron DeSantis beat President Trump in the polls. And so I said publicly on my Twitter account the other day, I think that it would be really great if Vivek Ramaswamy were to announce from the stage of the debate in Miami that he was going to drop out and endorse President Trump, and then head over to the rally in Miami. Because I think that out of all the candidates who are running, Vivek Ramaswamy has at least been smart enough to not attack President Trump, and I respect that. He's the only one who actually showed up in Miami, Florida, outside of the courthouse for President Trump's arraignment, and called for an end of weaponized government, and pledged to pardon President Trump if it ever got to that point. So, it's just really shameful that Ron DeSantis is going to, I guess he's lost all sense of judgment, and doesn't have enough common sense to realize that when you're polling at 8% nationally, just 3 months out from the Iowa caucus, you are not going to be president. You don't have a chance of being president. That's what Ron DeSantis is polling it nationally.
Well, I tell you, Laura Loomer, you exposed. We'll talk about Ramaswamy in a minute, because what you just said is very interesting. But we have to talk about DeSantis, because we're not going to have much longer to talk about DeSantis. But you were the first one to point out that he was fake MAGA. You had that incident where he threw you and the MAGA people out of that book signing, and I did not. But you pointed out something that I think says a lot about him. He's a man who doesn't own a car, and that's a big deal. I mean, if you parents out there, if your daughter came home with a guy who said he was a lawyer and he didn't own a car, would you want her to marry him? You'd think he was a bum. But the other thing that people think is petty, that I don't think is petty at all, that you pointed out, is that he wears these high heel shoes. And when I first met DeSantis and he wasn't on a stage and I saw how short he was, it was pretty shocking to me. But that when he was on Bill Maher's show a few weeks back at the end of September, and he was wearing those specialty high heel shoes, I mean, how much humiliation can DeSantis take before he drops out? Why is he still in this?
Look, it's clearly a way for him to drain resources from President Trump. Okay, you see that Ron DeSantis keeps on having all of these fundraisers across the country and donor summits, and it's a way for him to drain resources that could otherwise be used to help support President Trump amid his legal battles and the witch hunt. And Ron DeSantis is trying to hurt President Trump by draining valuable resources. That's what this is all about. That's what Nikki Haley's doing. She's also polling at 8%. That's what every single candidate who's running is doing, because they know that they have no chance of beating President Trump. They have no chance.
Yeah.
GOP voters have already said that they will vote for President Trump if they have to vote for him from a jail cell.
That's right.
The reality is that just like the GOP establishment and the Uniparty underestimated then candidate Donald Trump in 2015 and 16, they underestimated the reaction of the American people. And we are not going to tolerate weaponized government. They thought, oh, people are just going to be so turned off if President Trump gets arrested. They're going to say, well, we can't have a criminal. We can't have somebody who's been arrested multiple times as our nominee. But the exact opposite has actually happened, Brian. And it seems that the more that President Trump is attacked and the more that he's indicted and the more that he's arrested and the more that he has to, do these humiliation rituals in the courtroom in New York City with these ridiculous, corrupt government and DOJ officials, he skyrockets in the polls.
Yeah.
Every single time. And they're just never going to understand it.
Well, one thing you said though, one thing you said though that I don't know if this is just like a fantasy that you have or if you have some inside suspicions or knowledge, but Ramaswamy leaving the debate and then going to the Trump rally in Miami from the Miami debate and endorsing Trump. I know you know him, and I've seen you on TV with him. So is that something that you're just fantasizing, or do you think that there's a real possibility that Ramaswamy may drop out of the race during the debate and then go endorse and go to Donald Trump then? Is that a real possibility?
Maybe it's a little bit of both. It's a bit of a selfish fantasy.
Yeah.
But who knows? I think Ramaswamy is a smart guy. Like I said, he is a smart guy. He's the only one who's running for president right now who has actually, given the proper respect owed to President Trump. He's never attacked President Trump. He has continued to call out Ron DeSantis. He has continued to, be a voice of reason on the debate stage. And out of all the candidates, I would say that I've actually maintained a level of respect for Vivek Ramaswamy because he has campaigned without attacking President Trump. Vivek Ramaswamy is running the presidential campaign that Ron DeSantis should have run, but wasn't smart enough or strategic enough to run.
Well, I also wonder, there's a lot of conservative influencers out there that have gotten behind DeSantis. In particular, I guess one of the more high-profile ones is Dave Rubin. What's going to happen to someone like Dave Rubin, who's always bragging about smoking cigars at the governor's mansion with DeSantis, when this is over? Is someone like Dave Rubin going to become a never-Trumper, or are they going to come back to the MAGA train?
Well, I would say that Dave Rubin has always been a never-Trumper. He's had me blocked on Twitter ever since I got back on Twitter for calling him out. But look, I think that we kind of need to have a cleanse within our own party, right? We need to have an understanding it's time to pick a side. And quite frankly, look, if you want to have your own show, go have your own show, right? That's what Dave Rubin does. He has his own show, thinks he's a political expert, not my cup of tea, but, perhaps some people like listening to his dribble. I don't. But we need to start having higher standards within the conservative MAGA movement for the type of content and the type of I don't even like using the word influencer, right? But the type of journalism that we consume and the type of people who we allow to have these types of platforms, right? Mm-hmm. He's entitled to free speech, but there seems to be this kind of like glorification and idolizing of a lot of these social media pundits and influencers who, one, are really not that intelligent, and two, have been completely disloyal to President Trump and the America First movement.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, before you go, you got a new show on Rumble that you've just started doing. Tell people about that and how they can find it and when you're on.
Yeah, I just launched my own show exclusively on Rumble. It's every Tuesday and Thursday live at 7 p.m. Eastern till about 9 p.m. Eastern. So I would encourage everybody to go to rumble.com/Laura Loomer, and that's where you can watch. Tonight we're going live. My guest tonight is Dinesh D'Souza, and we're going to be talking about his new film, Police State, as well as the premiere at Mar-a-Lago that's set to take place on November 1st, which I'll be attending. This Thursday, I'm going to be interviewing Jason Miller, President Trump's senior advisor, and we'll have an update about the campaign. So Be sure that you're following my Rumble channel. It's new, rumble.com/Laura Loomer, and it's a free show. There's no paywall. It's free to subscribe. You just have to follow it. And I hope that everybody will tune in tonight at 7 Eastern.
All right. And, of course, the Trump rally is November 8th, which is a Wednesday at 7 in Miami. This is one of the most important Trump rallies ever because, again, if you're just tuning in, President Trump is having a rally in Miami at the same time that the Republican wannabe debate is taking place in Miami, and it's a very important one, maybe the most important one of the campaign so far. All right, Laura Loomer, I'll be watching you tonight, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me on, Brian.
All right, take care. I am in shock that I was able to scoop Loomer on that Iverson thing, because that never happened. I was just scrolling through YouTube this morning before I came in, and I didn't even know Loomer was going to be in it. And I was watching this video because I knew Iverson was attacking some conservatives, and I was watching it, and then boom, she started attacking Laura Loomer, and I was like, how did she know I was going to have Loomer on this morning? So I wouldn't grab the audio to share with her. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. If you'd like to call in, our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be back after this.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're gonna really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. The greatest rock and roll hits of the 60s and 70s coming up this morning. Palm Beach Patio Furniture Center, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created. Here's the oldies forecast.
Good day, everybody. Hope you're off to an awesome start on this Tuesday. Our highs are going to be in the lower 80s. We'll see a good deal of sunshine.
Alright, so Joe's here, but he's waiting for Jenny.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, we
he said
can.
he'll wait until she comes in.
Okay.
But I'll make sure to. I'll know if it's here, but I'll make sure.
Okay, just let me know.
That's the long break.
Yeah.
And now, a true oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club. Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. Check out the Moneymaker Tour of the Poker Room at PBKC October 25th through November 6th. $650,000 in guarantees. 27 trophy events, including the $200,000 mystery bounty and $300,000 main event. You can also play your favorite casino table games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em or three-card poker with just a $5 minimum 7 days a week. For more information, go to bbkennelclub.com.
How you doing, Brian?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. You just waiting?
You know what? We can go.
It's up to you. We can wait. We got time. It's up to what do you want to do?
She's gonna run late.
Oh, okay. Not a problem.
It's like her mother.
Yeah.
How you doing, man? You keep
Good. How you doing?
Excellent. Just running around, man.
Yeah.
You know, trying to make a buck like everybody else.
That's what it is. I'm telling you.
How you doing with this thing? Do you make money? I'm just curious.
I hope so, because I got bills. I've been doing it for 30 years. If I'm not now, I'm done.
I'm just making sure. It's a tough business.
So what I was going to... Oh, telling me. So I was going to talk to you about the annuities this time. Could you mention that last time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fire away, man. Sounds good. I mean, the whole thing right now is just people want to make sure the money's safe.
Yeah.
Want to make sure they're not going to lose anything.
Yep.
You know? It's a freaking mess out there, isn't it?
Oh. Okay.
I think this will work out, though.
Oh, yeah. It always does. It's a cycle. Everything's a cycle.
No, I actually meant us.
Oh.
It's going good. We're getting
That's
close.
awesome. That's good to know.
Yeah, the only thing is we're getting a lot of people from other places, which is okay. We're just going to figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
If they're interested, they're interested, you know.
Yeah.
Go wherever they are. You know, it's cool.
That's why our gold guy, the places he tells me he gets business from just blow my mind.
Really? We're getting, you know what's funny and interesting too? We get a lot of women.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing a lot of women.
You know, we have a huge chunk of the audience is female.
Yeah.
Yeah, and usually these kind of shows are more heavily male. But
But that's good for us because I'd say probably 65-70% of our clients are women.
well, they outlive their husbands.
That and they're on the safer side of things. They
Yeah.
want to make sure their money's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to worry about it.
That's
the
true.
Guys want to put on red or black. You know?
Yeah.
See how it goes. The women are happy with 3% fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it, this craziness with the war and everything, it's insane. Man.
Oh.
And these nuts out there, can you imagine supporting Hamas? I mean, it's insanity.
You say that, but there's so many people that they're brainwashing the media and the college. They just don't know what they're saying. They just don't know. There's the country. It's lost.
It's gone. You know?
It's got to scare people seeing these demonstrations on TV.
But you know, what can you do? I mean, you know, I'm political in my own mind.
Oh, here we go.
Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 46 years on the air.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. And by the way, I want people to know, Steve will hopefully be back this week. He's been very under the weather. I talked to Steve last night. He was sounding almost healthy. He says, I want to come on tomorrow. And I said, Steve, once you're sick and you're starting to feel healthy, just take a break for a couple more days. So hopefully Steve will be here by the end of the week. All right, in studio for a few minutes today, we have Joe Thomas, who you know from the Jupiter Joe Money Show, right here on our radio stations. Joe, good morning.
Thank you, Brian.
You know, I wanted to talk to you because last time you were here, I was telling you, I'm getting to that age where half the people I know are retiring, which is really scary because it makes me feel old. But, you know, the thing when it comes to retiring, I think what most people are thinking about is, okay, I have however much money I've socked away. I want to not lose money, but I need a little bit of income coming in to help me with my bills every month. And you were telling me about annuities. What are annuities? How do they work?
So an annuity is basically an investment that you buy from an insurance company. It's an insurance product. And even, interesting enough, even in the Great Depression, not one insurance company went down, Brian. So it protects
Really?
your money. Yeah, it's interesting.
During the Great Depression?
Yeah, during the Great Depression.
I never heard that before. That's amazing.
Well, and the thing is, see, they take money in and then they pay money out. So what they do is they guarantee an income stream for you. So you give them a lump sum of money like your 401k or a lump sum of money that you have in the bank sitting there. We pay you out and distribute you an income. Guaranteed for the rest of your life. We use the word guarantee because insurance companies can do things that your brokerage company can't do, or your bank.
I've never heard that before. Now, when it comes to annuities, I'm assuming that the upper limit is it's unlimited. As much money as you have, you can invest in annuities. But what's like the ground floor to get in? How little money can someone have and still get involved in this guaranteed income stream.
$2,000 to $5,000 is our bottom line, and we of course we go up from there. But actually, if you want to put more than $1 million, I have to get special approval, believe it or not, because they limit how much they're going to pay out. So that's why it's limited.
So as little as $2,000, someone can call you up and get involved in an annuity.
Yeah, we have plenty of clients that start with that, and then they'll move a CD over that's coming due. They'll move their 401k over that's coming due, and they're retiring and they want to know how to turn it into a guaranteed income stream. Your 401k is great, but the problem with it is right now it's losing money. So we guarantee your money, and it's a big word, but we do it by the claims-paying ability of insurance companies we represent, and we represent all the big ones out there you've heard of. It's just that we shop it for you, so we work for you instead of the insurance carrier.
So how does that work? So people get money every month. What do they get? A check? Does it go into their bank account? How does that work?
Direct deposit right into your account. So let's say you gave us $100,000, we're going to guarantee you, let's say 7%. That 7% every month is direct deposited right into your account. It's helping you live. It's like Social Security. It's guaranteed.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What if they don't need the money, though? What if they don't need the income? They just want the investment. How does that work?
So then that's what we call a growth play, where we're going to put the money away and you're going to build it for a later date, or you're going to pass assets to your family. And we specialize in all those areas. That's what we've been doing for the last 25 years down here in South Florida.
That's amazing. And so, a couple of things you're offering here. First, of course, you're offering your book, The Retirement Know-It-All, for free. But you're also offering free phone consultations. So if any of you have any questions about annuities, and when I hear that word guaranteed, you're not going to lose your money, you're going to generate income. I mean, that sounds amazing.
Some people think it's too good to be true.
And it does a little bit, I must say. It does.
Yeah, and it's not. It's just that insurance companies can do things that your bank can't do. They do things that your advisor can't do at the brokerage house. We're insurance companies, so we guarantee money. Insurance companies take a lot of money in, and then they pay it out. So it's a different structure.
Now, at what point, though, in someone's retirement are annuities a good idea? What if someone's been retired for 10 years, or maybe they're not retiring for 10 years? Is it still a good investment for them?
So our sweet spot is, I'd say, 50 to 70. 50 to 75. Either you're already retired, you want to protect the assets you have so you don't lose them, or you're going to retire and you're going to need a fixed income. So that's what we do.
Well, that's pretty amazing. Listen, guys, I'm going to give you Joe's number. You can find him online at JupiterJoe.com. So if you missed the phone number, don't worry. Just go to JupiterJoe.com. That's easy to remember.
Exactly.
And, if you guys know Jupiter's a, nice area. It's a nice area. When you're getting financial advice, you want to talk to somebody who's Jupiter-based. You know what I mean? No, I'm not kidding. But I'm going to give you the number. But again, if you missed the number, don't worry. Just go to JupiterJoe.com and call them about both the free phone consultation and the free copy of the book, The Retirement Know-It-All. Here's the number, 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. All right, Joe Thomas, thanks for coming in, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, take care. That's pretty good information, guys. Give him a call. Make sure you tell him you heard about him on the radio as well. We'll see you, Joe. Thanks for coming by. Now, callers on hold, stand by. I want to go to the phones, but a couple things we've been talking about throughout the program today, I want to hear your thoughts on. And I just want to recap a couple of them before I go back to the phones. One, I started in the first hour talking about Byron Donalds, and it looks as if Byron Donalds is going to make a deal to support the Ukraine funding in exchange for getting the speakership. I want to know your thoughts on that. Would you accept that? Would you still support Byron Donalds with that? And also, our local South Florida people, I want to hear your thoughts about this Trump rally. This is an important Trump rally. That one in Miami, listen, Donald Trump doesn't need me to tell people to show up to a rally. The rally crowds are limited only by the fire codes typically. But this one, when I told Laura Loomer that I think this is the most important Trump rally of this campaign, if not ever, to overshadow that Republican debate, I really truly mean that. And I know Loomer didn't want to own up to this, and I didn't give her grief about. I promised Laura Loomer after she exposed Ron DeSantis, I would never disagree with her again because I was so wrong with her about DeSantis. I'm not a Ramaswamy fan at all. However, he's got a lot of youth support. And when she said that this debate could end up with Ramaswamy dropping out and endorsing President Trump on that debate stage and going to that rally, she knows Ramaswamy personally. So I think that that's more of something that's actually in the talks. I'm not saying it's a decided thing, but I think that's something that's being discussed with Ramaswamy and his people. And I saw him and met him at the Turning Point, and the people at the Turning Point, obviously high school and college kids, they were flipping out over Ramaswamy. So what are your thoughts on that? Ramaswamy, if he were to do that and join the Trump campaign, would you be happy with that? I don't want him to have a seat at the Trump administration in the second term, I must say. But if he could bring some support towards President Trump, I'm all for that. All right, let's go to the phones. 1-888-GO-KANE-1. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Dr. Lemaski.
Oh, Dr. Lemaski, the therapist to... Well, Dr. Lemaski was my therapist for quite some time, and then I turned her on to Steve, and I know she's got to be the therapist to many people in this audience. What's going on?
Want to talk about some other stuff, but I did one or two of your listeners reach out to me via Messenger or Facebook and just kind of want me to chime in on what's been going on in Israel, because they're saying that they've been watching these atrocities, and I just kind of want to validate your audience, because most of your audience has a clear understanding of reality, which is frightening and alarming, and there's a lot of injustice. And there is a lot of anti-Semitism. There's a lot of hypocrisy, unfortunately. The Jews have been oppressed from...
Well, I got to tell you, Dr. Lemack, a couple things here. Let's talk about here first. I think it is frightening. It's got to be frightening to millions of Americans to see the number of Palestinians we have in this country with their Palestinian flags at all our major universities. But I don't think, and either you and I are about the same age, I don't think that there has been this level of anti-Semitism in America during either of our lifetimes as there is right now.
That's correct. And it's interesting you say, because I don't know if many people know this, but there's a lot of sources. This Pew Research has it. I don't know if you've said this, Brian, that in Europe, the Jews in 1939 were 10 million, and today in 2023, the Jews in Europe are 1 million.
That's right.
The Muslims in Europe in 1939 were 5 million. Today in 2023, the Muslims in Europe are 52 million.
It's crazy.
As you said, I don't think people know the numbers and how much, and it doesn't mean that every Muslim is a terrorist. But as you said before, the Palestinians voted Hamas in. It is clear, okay? And whether they wanted to or were pressured, just like here, we get people that win that we don't want to win, but you're governed under there. And what I've learned in my own personal experience as a psychologist and having two Palestinians years ago in my practice that literally turned on me, because as I continued to help them, their family members didn't like it.
That's right.
I actually had to get protection because I was threatened. My life was threatened because even though, and I can even tell you the details, one was her husband and her brother-in-law was raping her.
Oh, my goodness.
As I went to report that, I was told that my life is in danger because of it. Like a brainwashing, and if you're in it, they're going to go along, unfortunately,
yeah,
with what they feel for their lives versus doing the right thing.
Well, listen, we're about out of time here because I'm late for a break. But call another day this week, tomorrow, and we'll talk longer, because these are very important topics in our community. We have. In our listening area, we have the largest Jewish population in America. There are more Jews in our listening area than there are in Israel, because we're in South Florida, right? So it's a very important topic. All right, Dr. Lemaski, we'll talk again, all right? All right, back after this.
Hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
All righty, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
Metal's still giving us a buying opportunity, Brian. After being down $8.90, we're down another $8 this morning, which is great for those that have been waiting for this to pull back after this major gain that we've had over the last few weeks. The gold yesterday trading in a range of $1,963 up to $1,983, and closing mid-range at $1,972.30, which was off $8.90. Silver closed down 40 cents yesterday at $22.95 the ounce. Platinum was down $2 at $8.95, and palladium was up $24 at $1,104. This morning, gold, as I said, trading overnight in a range of $1,953 on the low to $1,981, and currently at $1,964 the ounce. That's down $8.30. Silver down a dime at $22.85. Platinum down $13 at $8.82, and palladium down $1 at $11.03. Pretty much where we are. Like I said, still giving us a buying opportunity here to take advantage of dip.
Absolutely. And, you know, a couple of questions I want to ask you about, one on gold, one on silver. On gold, you know, I know when it comes to silver, you know, when you go and buy bars of silver, you get more silver for your money. The premiums are lower. When it comes to gold, what are some of the great deals that you have on gold bars?
1 ounce gold bars are a great deal right now. The premiums are much lower, and and they're readily available, and they're easy to sell also. So we have brands in all of the 1 ounce bars and 10 ounce gold bars. The kilo bars we do sell quite a few of, but that's a different realm of investment for people that are buying quantity.
Yeah, and last time I was over in your shop, I took a look at those 10 ounce bars of gold, and they are I felt like I was in Kelly's Heroes. They're so beautiful in person. Now, a question about silver, because this is a common thing with silver, and we got a buying opportunity with gold right now. Sometimes silver, which can be a little more bulky than gold, you start to run out of room in the safe deposit box, in the safes and stuff like this. Is it unusual for people to bring silver in and exchange it for gold just because they got a space issue?
Yeah, that happens quite frequently. The people deal with that, especially when they're dealing in larger quantities of the commodity, and you do find that the gold is very easy to move. So if you're more of a person that kind of moves around a little bit more often and stuff, you may not want to be moving hundreds of pounds of silver around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, no matter where you're located, William Youngerman can help you. But if you can make it into a shop, you should. William Youngerman's shop is really a museum, and all these great things we talk about. He has beautiful display cases, and you can see them. His address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto. Online, WilliamYoungerman.com. But you can also do business on phone, over the phone, no matter where you're located, whether maybe you're local and you can't make it in, or you're anywhere else in America or the world. He opens up at 10 a.m., and his number is 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, back after this.
For breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right, welcome back. Callers on hold, stand by, and our number 1-888-GO-KANE-1, and we've covered a lot today, and I'm looking forward to hearing from Dr. Lemaski again on another day, because that was really a terrible story she was telling, but those stories are not uncommon. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian. Yeah, you're covering a lot of stuff this morning, Brian. It's really been a terrific show. You know what they should do? All these candidates that are for this debating, I would just rent a bus and go over to Hialeah and sign up for Trump, because it's just ridiculous, their little discussion. And as always, we see Trump as the master counterpuncher.
You know, I'll tell you, there's thankfully I don't have this experience, okay? But when you're a broadcaster, and I know people that are on the air in this market and others who have this problem, and it does something to your head. when you're on the air and you have a feeling that there's no one listening, it's difficult. When I was first starting out and I was doing a live show at 3 a.m. on Sunday mornings, I would feel that way sometimes. You know what I mean? A long time ago, 30 years ago. And when this debate that the Republican wannabes are having, they know very few people are watching. They know they're irrelevant. The hosts know it. And then President Trump has this Uber rally going on down the street in Miami. That does a head trip on those people in the debate and the moderators that people just don't understand. I have not had that feeling for many, many years. Thankfully so. We are very blessed with you and this great audience that we have on our radio station and the Steve Kane Show. But that head trip, that rally is such a psychological head trip on all those candidates and the media. I don't think people understand it unless you've experienced it like I did a couple times 100 years ago.
I don't see how they're going to try and sell this debate. It's just a total joke. It's just a total joke. And when the word gets out that Trump's going to be doing a rally, they'll forget it.
And the thing is, I think the debate is an NBC debate, if I remember correctly. And I don't know if it's MS or the network. That doesn't matter. The debates, and I've been saying this for months, this is very likely to be the last presidential campaign election race period with debates. I think the era of the debate is over. And the debate, obviously there were debates before there was television, but what the debates became was a big ratings bonanza. And the establishment media are still in their old habits. Like here on the Steve Kane Show, this is the longest running radio show in the state of Florida. As I say, coming in and out of every break pretty much, because who else can say that? And I'm proud of it and excited to be a part of it. But this show is not the same show that it was when I started working with Steve. The show has evolved. I mean, for example, when I was first working with Steve, how long have you listened to the show?
I guess 2 or 3 years now.
Oh, you're new. Okay. When I first started working with Steve, he did a show where he had nudists in the show, and they were all nude, including Steve. And Steve did something and I was running the board, and I was back where Mike is now. And Steve was doing things to embarrass me. Like he would have the volumes down on the board, so I would have to come in and adjust the mics. And of course, the mic buttons are level with his private part. So there was anybody remember the urine lady? So Steve used to do. I was talking to somebody. I was over at Lighthouse Medical, and I was talking to one of the guys over at Lighthouse Medical. There was a guy who used to be really big on the radio back in the '80s when I was growing up. Greg Budell. He's one of the legendary DJs. Disc jockeys of the Miami radio market, and he was on the same radio station as Steve doing talk, and unknown to Greg Budell, his wife left him with the kid, and he came on the air right after Steve. So Steve left the studio, Greg Budell came in, started doing his show. Steve walks out to his car. Who does he run into in the lobby? The process server that is bringing Greg Budell his divorce papers. What do you think Steve did?
The air?
Yeah, he brought the process server. He brought the process server into the studio, and he served Greg Budell with divorce papers live on the air. Greg did not even know his wife was leaving him, and Greg has had a long history of substance abuse issues, and so that's not the kind of show we're doing now. Because the audience has changed and the medium has changed. That's why I bring these things up, okay? And the media, when it comes to election time, they should have changed when Trump came down the escalator in 2015, and they haven't, because they view it as losing control and losing their power as opposed to evolving, like we've done.
I think they've lost their power by not evolving because they become just a second-tier system for information.
But you don't have to be. I mean, look, I embrace any new technology that comes in and incorporate it into the program. We evolve, we change. You have to. but the media won't do it. And they're doing to themselves what the newspapers have done. If the newspapers would have evolved, and what I mean by evolved, the newspapers didn't die because of the internet. The Daily Mail is the most read English language newspaper on the planet, and it's online. They went down the tubes because of their left-wing agenda. That's why when I go and get the Sun Sentinel, it's as thin as my high school newspaper was when I was in high school, and that's not an exaggeration. And the television news media and this election cycle are signing their own demise.
Thing, Byron, because going into this 24 election, which I agree is the biggest one in our history, it's good to see that they're dying off, and radio shows like yours are cutting edge, and this is what people are listening to.
Yeah, and think about, and I want you to think about this. Radio is how old, and look how much more relevant we are than NBC News. And if NBC, with their debate, wanted to be a real relevant news organization, what I would do is I would send a team to President Trump's rally in Miami and have a split screen of both events. I would carry the debate. Like I said, I don't know if the debate is on NBC or MSNBC, but I would carry both events, the Trump rally and the debate, and that's how you could regain relevance. But they don't want relevance. They want power, they want control, and they want to destroy Trump. And that's why the debate is. They could make the debate relevant if they did that.
But isn't it amazing that in just trying to destroy Trump, they've actually destroyed themselves?
That's right. I mean, it's Moby Dick is what it is.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, very interesting, very big.
Yeah.
Always Trump a great counterpuncher. He's using it against them, and the guy's knocking them out from courthouses is unbelievable.
Well, I was watching yesterday, Right Side Broadcasting, Brian Glenn, who's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. He's the big cheese on Right Side Broadcasting. He's been following Trump around. He's been with the press pool, and he's been giving a behind the scenes look at the press pool and Trump. And like I was watching yesterday, when President Trump, he went to the Secretary of State's office in New Hampshire yesterday and registered to be on the ballot in the New Hampshire primary yesterday. And President Trump had this whole conversation with the Secretary of State about energy prices in New Hampshire, which are the highest in the nation, President Trump said. And I'm watching this conversation live, just a regular conversation between President Trump and this Secretary of State, like we're having, and that was fascinating. But the rest of the media are there, but they didn't cover the conversation because they hate Trump and they want to bring Trump down, so they didn't cover the. But this debate and rally in Miami are historic.
Absolutely. Like I say, the mass media is so big they can't change course, they won't change course, and they're going to pay a very severe price.
Yep.
They already have.
Yeah.
The debate's totally irrelevant,
Yeah.
They have moderating it. It doesn't make any difference.
One thing I wanted to ask Loomer about this, and I forgot. If Ron DeSantis had an awakening and apologized for Trump, would Trump welcome him back?
Well, it's a good question. If it was a truthful apology, maybe down the road, not right now, but maybe down the road, he would open the door a little bit.
Yeah.
But he did a lot of damage with, a whole knife in the back. So.
Man, sure did. Listen, I got to run. We're out of time. But thanks for the call. All right, take care. All right, well, that's it for today. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Thanks for great calls today, by the way. Oh, and yesterday too. This week has started off with just spectacular, top-tier calls from our audience. God bless America, and of course, God bless Donald Trump. See you tomorrow at 6 a.m.
WSFS 104.3 HD.
Oops. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I will see you all.